Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Here is a conversation between a golfer and a caddy at a recent golf tournament on television. And I quote, the golfer says, "I think I'm going to go drown myself in the lake." And the caddy says, "Think you can keep your head down that long?" I love it. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, good morning, and welcome to Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and we start off an abbreviated week this week after Memorial Day yesterday, and I certainly hope that you and yours had a very safe, sane, and very nice weekend, even with all the rain, and lots of that. Our sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the very, very best, and get ready for summer travel. Along with some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services, always at your disposal. And call them, get on the route service today, 734-6969. And Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything, and I mean everything, for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valley White Home and Ranch. And right now, it's time for our Pledge of Allegiance. Let's see who's on the phone. Good morning.
Good morning. I can barely hear you.
Well, I'll have Wheels turn it up a little bit for you. Good morning, Rotten. Go ahead, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, you always do such a great job. God bless you, my friend, and say hello to your shy, quiet, retiring wife.
I'll do it.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Oh, my goodness, it's time for the weather. And the weather is brought to us by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. All you have to do is look for the blue door. And right now, they're having an anniversary sale for June. That's right. June 5th and 6th, they're going to have that anniversary sale. And they're going to have carpet as low as $5.79 per square yard, vinyl as low as $7 per square yard, tile as low as 99 cents per square foot. Holy cow, you better get a hold of them today. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Yeah, weather is going to be continuing all the way to Thursday night. You'll come out of it on Friday with nicer weather. In fact, Friday and Saturday is going to be looking real nice so far for today. This will be today the wettest day of the week. You got an area of low pressure which brings clouds, rain, gusty wind, and thunderstorms. It's situated over northern Idaho. It's moving south and then turning east, coming over our area. You will see possibly thunderstorms, small hail, and also gusty winds for today. That will continue for today, tonight, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. And then you start to slowly work your way out of it, but it's pretty much a wet one through the first portion of the week. Daytime highs for today, 69 for the high, 47. For the overnight low. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.
Thank you very much, Michael. RogersWeather.com. And our old buddy Michael, Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-6945. Look for the blue door. Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Hey, don't forget on Thursday, the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley with Merv May, Cade Rogge, and Lance Udy. The sale that works for you, 10 a.m. a.m. starting time every Thursday, and that's the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. For consignment information or sale information, call them at 678-9411. We have a birthday boy today, and I want to say a very, very happy birthday to a dear friend of mine, and that is Jimmy Flowers. Happy birthday, Jimmy, and many, 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 many more. He and his lovely wife, Frida, have been at our lunch bunches for years and years and years, and we thank them for all their help. And Jimmy's going to be on the air. I haven't confirmed it with him yet, but he's going to be on the air in the next couple of days, and we're going to be talking about this great big classic car show, Classics on the Grass, and I'm going to give you some information about that in just a minute. So happy birthday to Jimmy Flowers today. Congratulations. Also, I want to say thank you to SafeLink Internet, 677-8000. And don't forget, the first month is free. Love that word, free. Free installation. And by the way, too, no contracts, no credit checks, unlimited data. Speeds are faster than a speeding bullet. I'll tell you what, they can help you. It's Idaho's #1 choice for wireless Internet. SafeLink Internet. You call them and get on the program today, 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000. By the way, too, I also want to say thank you to Daryl's Cleaners. Wow. I mean, these people are so fantastic. They can take all your rumply crumplies, they take all my rumply crumplies, and turn them back a couple of days later looking brand spanking new. They are the best cleaners in the universe at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 878-8900. Kevin and Cindy and the rest of them at Daryl's Cleaners in Burley. Simply put, they are the best. This also, I want to say thank you to Paul Peterson. Paul, if you're listening this morning, there is a man with so much talent, and he takes little bits and pieces of our program and turns them into cartoons. And I've got a whole notebook full of cartoons, and I really appreciate that. But last Thursday at Lunch Bunch, he also made me a marching band, the whole marching band, and then also a circus wagon and everything. Absolutely a beautiful, beautiful little wagon and the horses and everything, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, Paul. The Mini-Cassia Auto Collectors are presenting the 29th Annual Classics on the Grass, and this is going to be at the Cassia County Fairgrounds in Burley on June 6th and 7th, and they're going to have some absolutely beautiful cars there. And what we're going to do is get a hold of Jimmy, and he's going to come on the program with us probably in a couple of days, and we're going to highlight this coming up on June 6th and 7th at the Cassia County Fairgrounds. Okay? Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One other quick note, at 8:31 this morning, we're going to give away another half dozen cinnamon rolls. Oh, they are so good from Sophie's Chatterbox, so be listening for that. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They've got all your air filters for your air conditioners. You said, wait a minute. With all the cool weather and the rain, what are you talking about air conditioners? Well, I can tell you one thing. After this week, it's probably going to bloop right up on the thermometer, and it's going to get warm. So be ready and check out and make sure that your air conditioning unit has a clean filter. You can buy them by the case of 12 and get discount pricing at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And that's where they provide warm winters and cool summers. By the way, I want to hit this real quick, too, and then we're going to get down to the meat of the program. That Valleywide Home and Ranch at 910 South Oneida in Rupert, you've got just this week to get all signed up for that antique tractor show, and they're going to have special prizes and trophies and everything, and I think the deadline is May 30th, so get that tractor entered for that big tractor show. And don't forget, too, they've got all your chick raising material, all the feed. They've even got all the chicks over there, too. Wrong chick. Housing, anything you need for all your chickens. questions. And for the 4-Hers, don't forget they've got everything for you at a 10% discount. Wow. And everything for your gardens, too. How does your garden grow? Well, it grows very well, thank you. And appreciate Valley Wine Home and Ranch. 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Sean and Mandy, the whole crew, Valley Wine Home and Ranch. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. All right, now it's your turn. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you, over the weekend, pause to remember and pause to reflect on Memorial Day? Yeah, I did. Had a lot of opportunity due to the weather and all the rain coming in, and then intermittent sunshine. But very, very pleasant this weekend when we went to the cemetery to decorate some of the graves of our family and thought about all the soldiers at the cemetery. There were just literally, I think, thousands of red, white, and blue American flags, and it was absolutely with great respect that those flags were put on the graves. And then, of course, all the flowers for the family members that are gone that laid out the framework for your family and my family. And Memorial Day, even with all the rain, was what it was supposed to be. A weekend of remembrance, a weekend of respect, and I certainly hope yours was one that you'll remember for a long, long time. Holy cow, what is this with Hillary Clinton? Yeah, they did it to us. They got us. Yep. Last weekend on Friday, Hillary and her staff and the great big email dump, the document dump, just before Memorial Day. And they knew that you were going to be out in your car, maybe going camping, maybe going to see Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred, and that you really didn't care anything about politics or Hillary Clinton or anything that she had done or not done. So that's why they did it. When no one cares or no one is really listening. But here, out of the literally hundreds of thousands of emails, they selected less than 300 to talk about. It's a pathetic joke on the American people. Absolutely a pathetic joke on the American people. And I was going through some information this morning that was sent to me by my friends back in Washington, D.C., and 296 Libya-related emails would only get very limited coverage because they were released on Memorial Day weekend. And some of the information that was given to us was pretty bland and blasé. And this woman's going to get away with it. This woman is a travesty. She is absolutely a sham, and with all the lies and the mismanagement of funds and everything else, probably should be in jail. And she's only telling us what she wants us not to know. And she's getting away with it. Your thoughts, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear your thoughts about Hillary, the emails, and the weekend. Give me a call. As you probably are aware, last week on Thursday we had our lunch bunch at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. Wow, it was fantastic. We just had a really, really good lunch bunch. And lots and lots of good people were there. And so I urge you to stop in anytime, all the time, for breakfast, lunch, or dinner at Denny's Restaurant. And now there's two locations. I hope you know that. One, of course, in Burley at 611 Overland in Burley, and the other one at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Oh, my. Thomas and the crew have hit home runs twice right out of the park with delicious food, great service, absolutely great service at Denny's Restaurant. 611 Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did anybody out there watch the Indy 500 this last weekend? Now, I am not a particularly avid fan of either stock car racing, NASCAR, or open wheel racing like the Indy 500. But I've got to give credit where credit is due. The pre-race information and the hour leading up to the race was absolutely the most informative coverage that I have ever seen with any sport. It was excellent, and it created an interest in an event, like I said in the past, that I really had not really sat down and wanted to watch. But purposely, because of all that pre-race information, my wife and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Very, very good race, won by Juan Pablo Montoya, and it was exciting. Calls are welcome. Give me a jingle. Barry Equipment and Rental. Eli, Nick, and the rest of the crew, they've all got the equipment for you to get any job done right. They've got 3 locations, Twin Falls, Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. And they've got the Bobcat track loaders, 0% financing for up to 60 months. You can rent or have a demo right there at Burley or the Twin Falls store. And they've got lots of Doosan equipment for rent, too. Check them out. Great deals. You stop in to Barry Equipment and Rental today. And they're located Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln in Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. What? Did everybody sleep in this morning? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It was one of the worst, if not the worst, falls and absolute wrecks that I've ever seen in NBA history last night, watching the game between the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. The absolute MVP of the league, Stephen Curry, was trying to make a guard against a shot underneath the basket. He jumped up, was about 6 feet up in the air, landed on top of a 6'9" forward for Houston, and it tipped him upside down on his head to the floor. And, boy, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous, running at high speed and landing on his back of his neck and his head. Took him out of the game. They checked him for concussions and everything. Boy, I hope he's going to be okay. He came back in the game and, quite frankly, shouldn't have, I think. And one of the great young all-stars in professional basketball, Stephen Curry. We were glad to see him come back in and play, but if it was a concussion, I don't know if that was the smartest thing to do last night. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle. By the way, coming up in a matter of days, on June 19th and 20th at the Cassia County Fairgrounds, the Minnecasia Relay for Life. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. The Minnecasia Relay for Life trying to garner funds for cancer research to beat that dreaded disease, cancer. And we really want to salute the folks with the Minnecasia Relay for Life on June 19th and 20th, starting at 6 p.m. at the Cassia County Fairgrounds with the opening ceremonies. Don't forget the Relay for Life for 2015. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm pretty darn good. I woke up this morning feeling good, so that's a plus.
Well, evidently when you woke up this morning feeling good, you hadn't turned on the news yet.
I did, but I've got broad shoulders.
All right. Well, what can I do for you, my friend?
You know, with all this corruption in Washington, D.C., you can just imagine that Hillary has got the goods on so many politicians up there that they've got to go along and cover everything she does and make her look like an angel. We've got so much corruption in Washington.
You know, Tony, how can this woman even be considered to run for president? I mean, all the mess with Benghazi and the sleeping in and missing a national security briefing and absolutely having people lie about what she's done, what she's doing, lying about her foundation. I mean, the list goes on and on, Tony. How does this woman even even keep her name in the running for possibly being President of the United States?
You know, she's got all these magazines that are pushing her, making her look like an angel. She's making organizations like these organized crime things there, which clean out their ranks once in a while, making them look like angels.
I just wonder about how far this thing's going to go with the emails. I wonder how Trey Gowdy's going to find out information that he wants. And like I said earlier, with the hundreds of thousands of emails that took place on 2 email accounts, how in the world could she release 296 of them and say that's all we need to know?
You know, some of these judges and things we've got up there, they must all be Democrats. Maybe that's why she's getting away with so much.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody cares anymore. I've got kind of a jaded attitude about the American public, too. We should be outraged. We should be standing in the street yelling. We should be making demands. But I just don't think anybody cares anymore.
And I think people are getting so darn hardened that all this stuff is bouncing off them.
Well,
you know, myself, personally, I feel like we need a revolution.
Well, when you say that, you've got to really be careful about what you mean, because in this day and age, with the NSA and everybody else kind of taking what you say and maybe mapping it out of context or whatever, I agree that we need to tip things upside down and start over. I agree that Washington has turned into a cesspool of what's good in it for me instead of what we should be doing for the constituents. I don't know. I just really am upset that nobody seems to care anymore.
Well, if we don't, this nation's going to fold up.
There's no question,
We're
Tony.
headed there right now.
Well,
we've got, I don't know how many of the terrorists are in this country already, just waiting for the word to strike.
You know, that is a subject that we're going to be getting into a lot in the next week. We're going to have different segments on terrorism and the refugee program at CSI. All kinds of things are going to play into this. So I appreciate your comments. I appreciate people asking me to put together these different segments. Tony, God bless you and Mary, and you have a good day.
Okay, we'll see you soon.
All right, buddy, I hope so. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Hey, we're going to have the Capitol Press Ag Minute, and then we're going to give away some cinnamon rolls. But first of all, I want to say thank you to a lovely lady, Christine Pickup, a doctor of audiology at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. And this lady knows all about hearing or the lack of. And by the way, May is Better Speech and Hearing Month. And I want you to know that uncorrected hearing loss gives rise to poorer quality of life, isolation, and reduced social activity, which can lead to depression. So have your hearing screened. Have it checked out at Mount Harrison Audiology. Please make an appointment today at 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology, waiting for your call. Here now, the Capitol Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capitol Press, the West Ag Weekly.
Walmart, the nation's largest food retailer, is urging its thousands of U.S. suppliers to curb the use of antibiotics in farm animals and improve treatment of them. That means asking meat producers, egg suppliers, and others to use antibiotics only for disease prevention or treatment and not to fatten their animals, a common industry practice. Experts say Walmart is the first major retailer to take a stance to limit the use of the antibiotics. The guideline also aims to get suppliers to stop using salad gestation crates and other housing that does not give animals enough space. The push is a part of the industry trend to responding to shoppers who want to know more about their foods. For the Capitol Press Ag Minute, I am Raul Pena.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capitol Press, and Capitol Press.
Oh my, brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology, and they're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room, and the number to call to make an appointment for a hearing screening is, of course, 312-0957. You know what I think I'm going to do right now? I am going to be generous, and I'm going to give away a half dozen of the huge, they're the size of footballs, each and every one one of them. Sophie's Chatterbox Cinnamon Rolls, and they're located at 530 East Street on the square in Rupert. Oh, my goodness. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Open 6 to 6 weekdays, 6 to 2 on weekends. And here is the question. Now, it's only open to those that have not won before. Okay, well, let's give somebody else a chance. This is a very, very easy question. And the number to call, 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587. I'm sitting there going, what digit did you forget in the phone number, Zeb? Anyway, 1-866-927-4587. What baseball team did Cowboy star Gene Autry own? That's an easy one. What baseball team did Cowboy star Gene Autry own? First person to call with the right answer is going to get the cinnamon rolls, and if you've been a winner in the past, you're not eligible, so we want some new winners. Oh, my goodness, that didn't take long. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
It's all about the Angels.
Give me the complete name of the baseball team.
The Los Angeles Angels.
You know, I'm going to accept that, but you do realize that that's not what they were known as when he owned the team. You do know that, right?
I'd have to say no.
Well, you're being honest, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to you as the Los Angeles Angels. However, they were known as the Anaheim Angels.
Yes, I do remember that now.
Okay.
But I didn't at the time.
Well, Mr. Cottam, you have won a half dozen cinnamon rolls. We put your name on the list, and you can go over there and call them ahead of time, and they'll have them all waiting fresh for you, okay?
Thank you very, very much.
You'll enjoy them. Thank you very much. Keith Cottam, the winner. Thank you, Keith. We appreciate it. And it was the Anaheim / Los Angeles or / California or / they've changed the names a whole bunch of times. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert with those cinnamon rolls, and they are delicious. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yeah, I guess who's back in the news again this morning? This is the most repulsive little man, and he's little not only in stature, but he's little because of what he does and what he represents. He is absolutely like a little bug, a little spider, a little pest. That's better. Little pest. I like that. Al Sharpton. Just absolutely one of those little pests. Now he's going to go to Cleveland, Ohio, to stir up more racial tension. That's all he does. Anywhere there is a camera, anywhere there is a microphone, anywhere there is some way that he can stir up more racial strife and stand there like a very diminutive type banty rooster and shout and spout off his racism remarks, that is Al Sharpton. And he is going to cause more violence. He is going to cause more insurrection. This man is absolutely a waste. And it's such a shame, such an absolute shame, that is how he makes all of his money, is at the expense of others, at the expense of towns, at the expense of communities, trying to go in and incite more violence. And like I said a moment ago, insurrection. Al Sharpton, a complete little waste. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Well, I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in. Come on, give me a jingle on a Monday morning. Tuesday morning, I'm the one that's guilty of not remembering the day and the holiday. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. You call Tim Vaughn today at 431-7314. Absolutely, he can can take care of getting you all the estimates on whatever you need built on your property, whether it's on the farm grain bin storage. They're an authorized dealer in all kinds of agricultural buildings, from Sukup, Chief, Balin, and Nucor buildings. You name it, they can build it, and they're currently building the brand new Funk Dairy right here south of me in Murtaugh. They can get the job done right. Streamline Precision, a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services at 120 South, 100 West of Burley. 431-7314. You give them a call today. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What do you think about this deal with Australia? I think they're way ahead of us. Australia says, okay, you want to be a terrorist? You want to cause problems? You want to pick up a bomb or a gun or something and you want to be a terrorist? Okay, fine. Your citizenship is gone. You are no longer a citizen of Australia. Bingo, you're out. Man without a country. And quite frankly, I think that we should do the same. We are not tough enough. The rules and regulations are not tough enough. And right now in this day and age, I'd like your opinion. If you were president for one day, what would you do to help right the ship, steer in the right direction? What would you do? This is, I think, Australians way ahead of us. Yeah, you want to be a terrorist? You're gone. You're out of here. You have no country. No citizenship papers, nothing. You might as well get on a rubber raft or make a raft out of wood and just float for the rest of your life out in the middle of the ocean, because you are not coming here. What are your thoughts on this? Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle on the landline. I would like to hear from you. So come on, give me a call. A couple of public service announcements real quick. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I mentioned about the Classics on the Grass coming up on June 6th and 7th, and I also want to remind everybody, where did that note go? It's coming up on the 30th. Saturday, May 30th, the Minidoka County Sheriff's Office will be having a responsible rider course for ATV users at Let's Ride on Highway 24, and the time will be 9 to noon, so don't forget that, at Let's Ride on the 30th. Okay, now it's your turn. Come on, give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There is a company called Pacific Sunwear, and they have even drawn the ire of Hollywood people, actors, directors, etc., and this is hard to imagine. Actor James Woods is after them, and here's why. In the window of one of their stores, I believe it was in L.A., this weekend, they had a mannequin wearing a flag, American flag, that was upside down and in black and white, and absolutely denigrating our country, our flag, and Memorial Day. And many, many people, including various actors, which normally they always seem to take the liberal side of things, but not in this case. They are absolutely incensed. And James Woods, the actor, and he's played a lot of tough guys in various movies, etc., put out a memo that Pacific Sunwear should be boycotted, and Pacific Sunwear should really feel the financial repercussions, I bit my tongue, pardon me, for what they tried to do to run down America, run down Memorial Day, and run down our military and our flag. What are your thoughts on this? Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I hope is coming in, I also want to remind you about Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, and they have rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems, whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them at 678-0459. At Ramsey's, of course, they provide warm winters and cool summers with Lennox Home Comfort Systems. All right, your turn. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle. Oh, by the way, too, I want to say thank you. Last week on Thursday, our lunch bunch over at Denny's Restaurant, we invited Nick Greenwell to speak over there on behalf of Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And Nick did a really good job, but I was really surprised as to the number of people that are already going to him, trying to get back to feeling like themselves. My goodness, he's got quite a following. And remember, at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, very, very broad insurance coverage, the best of exercises and sports medicine, and they've got the only pool, the only hydrotherapy pool with a treadmill. Man, it will help you. Helping you get back to being you. Nick Greenwell and the staff at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation in Burley. Number to call for an appointment, 678-1191. 678-1191. All right, come on. Somebody call me. We'll talk about anything you want to this morning. Any topic, anything that you saw or did over the weekend with Memorial Day, with all the rain. And Deanne and I, we decided, what day was it? I think it was on, was it Sunday afternoon? Yeah, I guess it was, yeah. We decided that at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we would jump on the four-wheelers and we would head up in the hills. And so we did. And we got up there back probably, 16, 17 miles away from home, and we stopped and were looking and taking in all the beautiful Mother Nature. And then all of a sudden I looked to the heavens and I looked to the north and I said, Goober, I think it is time that we went full throttle for home because we are going to get very wet. Now the sun was shining in and out of the clouds previously, and then all of a sudden it started to really, if you'll remember, on Sunday afternoon, out of the north, those clouds started really getting dark and really getting heavy, and we went full throttle for the old ranch and made it 5 minutes. 5 minutes we got in the yard and just closed the door to the house, and kaboom! Down came all the water, and it rained and it rained. And out in the arena the other day, we had a couple of mallard ducks that were really enjoying the deep ponds that were over in my header's box. Anyway, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I think what we'll do is have the weather forecast, and of course Michael Rogers Weather, and it's brought to you this hour by Duck Uglies. 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. Talked to Jack the other day, and he said, hey man, we have got so many good things going on. They've got Monday through Friday breakfast and the world famous Duck Ugly burritos, and they'll even deliver them right there in the Burley area. Holy cow. And then on Fridays and Saturdays, caller, don't go away. I'll be right with you, I promise. Friday and Saturdays, delicious smoked ribs and all the great menu items. Oh, my. You've got to get into Duck Uglies at 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. And real quick, caller, I'll do Michael Rogers Weather. I'll be right with you. Here's Michael.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from Zeb at the Ranch. You've got wet weather all the way to Thursday night. You're going to come out of it on Friday. You're going to come out of it with sunny weather from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can pick right back up Sunday night and pick up more wet weather going into next week. Today will be the wettest day of the week. Got an area of low pressure right now situated right over northern Idaho, moving south, and then going to be turning east. You're going to see some showers and some thunderstorms. Some areas could see localized hail and also thunder and lightning and gusting winds. Temperatures for today, 69 for the high, 47 for the overnight low. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right. Michael Rogers Weather brought to you this hour by Duck Uglies. 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. Good. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to be saying something that may be offensive to some people, and some people may agree with me. But years ago, Memorial Day really meant something. had been a time when you could go visit the graves of your ancestors, your family members, and your military, especially the military. But over the years, they decided they would make it into a 3-day holiday. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't come on the same day each year now. So
what do you think? What do you?
The problem is they turned it into a doggone 3-ring circus. What do you think?
Well, now when you say 3-ring circus, be more clarified on that. How has it lost its value? Tell me what you think it's lost in value.
Well, I think it's. I don't know what the purpose was, whether Congress wanted to have another day off or just what, but by creating that, these poor people are out here trying to make a living running a business. Mm-hmm. It's either forcing them to stay open to compete or to miss out on that day, and besides, the employees want to be paid for not working at that time.
Well,
Memorial Day, they should be paid for that if that comes on any day but Saturday or Sunday, or depending on their days off.
You know, Keith, I've got mixed emotions.
I think it's just wrong to change history.
Well, you know, I'm a traditionalist myself in many respects, but I will say this, that the 3-day weekend afforded us, Deanne and I, some time to share together here as a family, and we also had some time to go and visit the grave sites at the cemetery and everything. We weren't rushed to get certain things done. I guess I have a kind of a difference of opinion. I don't want to see it just turn into oh boy, let's go camping, let's just think of all fun. It's a time to embrace what the past has given us and also what our soldiers and our forerunners have afforded us in this country with our freedoms. And I certainly hope people really looked at it that way and treated it that way. I know that we took a time for reflection while we were at the cemetery, and I hope a lot of people did.
Well, that was certainly well said, Zeb.
All right.
The idea of furniture store or whatever, traditional people that close on holidays are open and trying to make it one of the biggest days of the year.
I don't go along with that.
Thank goodness they don't change that to a 3-day weekend.
Yeah, Keith, I always appreciate your viewpoint, and that was very well stated. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. I guess maybe I have a tendency to agree with him on this matter of the story. I hate to see people just use it as for financial gain instead of it'd be like Christmas or Easter, whatever. Remember the holiday for what it is. Remember Memorial Day weekend for what it is. And, of course, my mother and father have passed away, and there were moments during the remembrance of my mom and dad and all the good things that we had as a family back in Wisconsin. And then, of course, the remembrance of my buddies that had gone from high school and college to serve our country while in Vietnam. And there were a lot of things that I had a chance to really reflect on and think about. And then also the grave sites of family members as we decorated those graves. And I agree with Keith. I hate to see it turn into something as a financial gain when really the thinking and caring and remembering of a Memorial Day is extremely important. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Have we lost really all the merit and the honoring of various holidays? Have they turned into just kind of another, oh, well, maybe I can make a few bucks off of it or something? Give me a call on that and let me know your thoughts, please. There was a story coming out of Connecticut this morning that just absolutely, really, really upset me, and I don't think they know the reason why. I don't think they really have all the particulars of the story put together, but a pastor of a church was putting flags, United States flags, on the lawn of the church and around his parsonage, etc., in honoring of Memorial Day. A pastor. Somebody drove by with a car and shot him numerous times. Why? Why would a pastor of a church have the animosity and hatred against him and what he's doing for Memorial Day in putting out the little United States flags around the lawn of the church and the parsonage, and they stuck a gun out the window and shot him numerous times? Why? What in the world could possess somebody to do something so absolutely low, so vile, as to shoot a minister while he's putting out United States flags? Unbelievable. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear from you. While I'm waiting for your call, ready for summer travel, and that's exactly what you can do is get ready for summer travel at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations with the free pre-trip safety check. My goodness sakes, all kinds of items are inspected on your vehicle with the free pre-trip safety check. I said it twice. Real good. And of course they've got a lot of their best tires on sale, like the Wildcat AT2 for light truck and SUVs, all season traction, smooth quiet ride. They've got the very, very best of brake value promises for you to make sure to take care of your brakes, and they are the best of front end alignments and shocks and struts, and of course batteries. All of this and more at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
How are you today?
I am fantastic. What can I do for you?
Well, sir, I was just driving home from work, and I drove by these Mexicans' home, and they had the American flag flying out in front.
Okay.
Now, that is something that I don't often see, but these guys, these people, they've lived here for a long time in this home, and they have got the flag flying.
You know, now I want to say this, and I think you'll agree with me, is that we have many callers on this program, and there's a gentleman that calls, and he is of Hispanic descent and a Mexican, and you talk about a great American that loves this country and loves everything about this great United States of America. I am not surprised to see many honor our flag and honor our country on Memorial Day.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
I think it's wonderful.
I do, too. God bless you, sir, and thank you for your call. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. You know, we need to get back to that American spirit, you know, this divisiveness that's going on in this country. Oh, my goodness. I will not. I remember here a couple of weeks ago, it's been probably a couple of months ago now that I think about it. Right after Christmas and the holiday season, I made a statement that I would never again on this program, ever, say anything hyphenated as far as American is concerned. Whether it's Black American, Hispanic American, Japanese American, I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. I don't care if the people that are on the program are offended by it. I will not hyphenate anything on this program. You're either an American or you're not. It's that simple. But I am not going to say African American. I'm not going to give them that credence because we're living here in this country underneath that waving red, white, and blue banner, our flag, and we are Americans. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeb.
Yes, sir.
I went out the other day to put, on the graves and that, and I stood at the head of my uncle's grave. He's not there. He's over in Pearl Harbor on USS Arizona, still in there. And I thought, Barry, has it really been worth it what you went through for what's going on today? I really had a terrible time thinking, is it really worth what us kids and everybody went through during World War II, Korea, Vietnam, to have us slammed and kicked around like they are?
You know, Al, let me ask you this. Do you feel like it was a waste of time? Do you feel for your life and what America has given and provided to you as far as opportunity, do you honestly feel it was a waste of time?
In a way, yes. But I also believe that, damn it to hell, if we're going to go in there and try and save all these other people, why don't our own government start treating us like we're supposed to instead of like a bunch of trash? I'm getting sick and tired of all these guys criticizing what's going on with the Veteran Act when they don't even try to help them. And these people, I know we've lost a lot of lives in all these wars. But dang on it, if we're going to do something to help other people, for hell's sakes, give us credit and back us up, and we need somebody to help us out.
I can't argue that, and I'll even add more. I heard a couple of stories about the Veterans Administration over the weekend, and I was absolutely appalled as to the lack of caring and humanity that the administrators have shown to our veterans. I'm on your side 100%. And I will say one more thing. If we're going to get into a conflict, the strongest, richest, most absolute powerhouse in the world, the United States of America, let's go in and knock them out with a punch that's going to put them on the floor and not go around dilly-dallying and wasting human life.
Yeah, we got too many wishy-washy wusses back in Washington don't want to do nothing but collect a paycheck, and that's all they want to do.
I can't argue that. Al,
good one, buddy.
I thank you for your service. Thank you so much.
Bye.
We got to take a break right now and send it back over to our main studios. CBS News coming up, and they'll probably throw a monkey wrench in everything we've tried to do this morning. We'll be back in 6. Don't go away. Oh, my. Welcome back. Hour number 2. Zeb at the Ranch. And, my goodness, I've got the telephone's ringing, and I've got all kinds of things going off here. Thank you, Wheels. I appreciate it. I'll be right there. Don't forget Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. And, of course, don't forget, too, Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valleywide Home and Ranch. And our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services with, of course, the Go Minis. Don't forget, you call 734-6969. They'll deliver the Go Mini container to you. You fill them up, load them at your convenience, and then call them, and they'll pick it up, and they'll store it for you at their site. Hey, that's the way to do things. Western Waste Services, locally owned and operated, always at your disposal. Get on the route service. Get rid of your garbage at 734-6969. Western Waste Services, serving you. Really good people. Oh, by the way, like I say every day, really good people. That's what this show is all about. We've got the best right on this show. Don't forget Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward, his family, and his staff. Always there when you need them, always serving you. That's right, and they can travel to rural towns and churches, too, and help you. You don't have to go to them for all the arrangements when there's the passing of a loved one. They will make sure they try to make every convenience for you and help you right there in your hometown and area. Always serving you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. It's Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary. And real quick also, before we get our guest on the phone, I want to say thank you. Every morning at 8:06, we start our program off with the weather with Michael Rogers, and it's brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Don't forget they're having their anniversary sale on June 5th and 6th. We'll tell you more about that a little later. They're located at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Number to call, Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 678-6945. Right now, let's go to the phone line. Excuse me, and we have with us the now Executive Director of the Blue Ribbon Coalition, and that is Mr. Martin Hackworth. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hello, Zed. How are you? I'm doing great.
Well, good. Martin, you're new to this job, and I'm assuming are new to this area. Tell us a little background on yourself.
Well, I am new to the job, but I'm not new to the area. I've lived in Idaho for 25 years now. Lived in the same place in Pocatello the whole time I've been here. The job, I'm still part-time officially right now. I've been a faculty member at Idaho State University, a member of the physics department for about the last 23 years. And I'm in the process of finishing up a summer class, and at the end of that summer class, I'll be going to sharetrails.org full-time.
Now, tell us a little bit about the Blue Ribbon Coalition. In the past, we've had the Blue Ribbon Coalition on here almost every week with information about what's going on with our trails and the use of our public lands. What is your main goal when you become the full-time executive director?
Well, my job is to make sure that the lights stay on, the bills get paid. The executive director of any sort of a 501(c) is principally charged with raising money, getting membership up. We happen to be fortunate to have an excellent staff, both in Pocatello and a couple of contractors, both of whom live in California, some folks back on the East Coast. They're the folks that are actually down in the trenches fighting the good fight. So they do our lobbying. We have an excellent attorney in Boise, Paul Turk, who represents us in court. Our legal department, or our legal arm, I should say, Paul Turk and his attorneys have argued won cases before the Ninth Circuit and before the Supreme Court. So we're in pretty good shape in all that stuff. So my job is to manage all that.
Okay, now, what is fighting the good fight? I mean, the public should know, the public should become members of the Blue Ribbon Coalition. What basically is the theme and the substance of the Blue Ribbon Coalition, and what are you trying to do?
Blue Ribbon Coalition, sharetrails.org, does exactly what share trails mean. We advocate for access to public lands that the public pays for. So we are a group that primarily represents OHV users, people that ride motorcycles, people that drive side-by-sides, Jeeps, equestrians. But if there's someone on a mountain bike or even a unicycle that's having trouble getting access to a place where there's no good reason they shouldn't be, we're for them too. So we advocate for OHV access to public lands, and that's our mission. We're a little unique in the way that we do it. There are other organizations that do the same thing, but most other organizations lobby on behalf of OHV users. We don't do that. We are unique in that we have a legal department, so we fight in court over things like that if it comes to that. We prefer to negotiate, but in the end, lobbying is something that, in my opinion, is a game that is only effective if you have more money than Croesus. And I don't think any OHV user or group has enough money to buy influence in Washington, D.C. I just don't think that works. So the courts are where the average Joe can get a break, and it's a lot more cost-effective, I think, to try to pursue your cause through the legal system, and we've had great success doing that. That's what we do.
You know, Martin, when you look at the overall picture of our public lands and the usage of our public lands, I have four-wheelers. My wife and I just really enjoy going up in the hills and getting away from everything. Are we winning, losing, or what's going on right now on a national basis? This administration seems like they are very user-unfriendly. Give me your thoughts on this.
Well, I think they all are user-unfriendly. In terms of watching this issue for most of my life, I've been an outdoorsman my entire life. I was a climbing guide for 18 years. I was a ski instructor. I currently run something called the Tour of Idaho, which is a single-track dirt bike ride that starts in Utah and goes all the way to British Columbia. And having looked at public lands from many different perspectives, I think that politicians in general are unfriendly towards access because no one wants to be the person who gets tagged with shutting down Smokey Bear or something like that. So I haven't seen a huge difference between one political administration and the next. I think the government is just anti-user in many cases, depending on who the user is. So I don't see this administration as any more unfriendly than anybody else, but they've all done some things that are kind of unfriendly. But to get to your first question, I think that trend is starting to change. One of the things that makes the United States of America uniquely wonderful is that we do have a lot of public land. If you go to Europe and you try to run a motorcycle event, you're doing it in an old rock quarry somewhere. You're not doing it on public land. here we have that. But it's the public and public land that the ShareTrails.org, the Blue Ribbon Coalition, is interested in. Since we all pay to support those lands, we all have a right for some access. And as a motorcyclist, I'm asking for a piece of real estate that's 12 inches wide. And I don't think that's asking too much. The folks that ride side-by-sides, people that ride horses, everybody pays to support that stuff. We all have a place back in our public lands.
You know, Martin, when you look at the overall problems that we have, and everybody sits at the coffee shop and they'll cuss and discuss what's going on with the government and a lot of our public land closures, you know, we really ought to hold a mirror up in front of our face, because it's us. We are the problem because of public apathy, and we've let this happen. Would you agree or disagree?
I agree to a certain extent. You know, everybody's busy, and, you know, I understand apathy because not everybody has all the time in the world to fight every fight, so I get that. There is some apathy above and beyond that, though. You know, there are a lot of people that will motor mouth in a coffee shop, as you said, but will go to a public meeting, which would be incredibly influential. At the local level, public meetings are important, and when people show up and express their opinion, I can assure you, having been a minor political figure myself, that that's effective. You know, we listen to people when they show up at public meetings. The bigger problem, in my view, in terms of looking at ourselves in the mirror, is we're often very poor ambassadors for our own sports, and that's one thing that I want to make sure that I bring to Share Trails, a sense that we have to set good examples in our respective sports. And one thing that really bothers me a lot is when I see guys out involved in my sport, which is riding single-track motorcycle trails, that are incredibly inconsiderate to other trail users. That doesn't do anybody any good, and it really ticks everybody else in the world off. So there's some apathy there for sure, but I think also we are our own worst enemies sometimes when it comes to advocating for shared access to the outdoors. You have to be a good neighbor. It's a sandbox. It has a finite size, and it's really tough to fight a battle if you're the person that everybody else in the sandbox doesn't like.
You know, let me ask you, though, how do we get everybody together, whether they're equine enthusiasts like I am also, and also with ATVs, and then, of course, like you said, the single-track motorcyclists, etc. How are we going to get everybody on the same page as a powerful coalition of numbers so our voices are better heard?
Well, you know, you can join the Blue Ribbon Coalition. There are a half a dozen different organizations that basically do what we do, and they all have their place in the spectrum. Coming into this job, one of the things that I intend to do is to try to knock down some of this "we're better than those guys" talk, because I think we all have our place and we're all important. But you should join an organization that is effective in advocating for your rights. That's the first thing you could do, power in numbers. The second thing you can do is become informed. Show up at public meetings. Hearts and minds are important. And then finally, be a good ambassador for your sport. I think that's the unsaid thing that's incredibly important. Most of the people that I meet out in the woods, and I've spent most of my adult life out in the woods. I live out in the woods. I live on a farm in the mountains. Most of the people I meet are really nice, but it doesn't take a few poor players, but for a few poor players to start making a really bad impression. There are some trail groups that seem to be constantly at odds with folks. You know, you're an equestrian, so you probably understand that horsemen and horsewomen, horses have a particular sensitivity, I think, around, for instance, mountain bikes seems to be a persistent issue. And we need to deal with things like that, frankly. You know, maybe there should be trails that are set aside for different uses, but I just don't think we should exclude anybody. And we should just be prepared to talk and understand what the different groups are all about. I don't think there's any enemies out there. There's just people that have different ideas about how the public lands ought to be used, and we need to talk with each other and understand what everybody wants.
Now, as far as the Blue Ribbon Coalition is concerned, and what they try to do, etc., what would people do? How can they get a hold of the Blue Ribbon Coalition? How can they find out more? How can they become members? Give us all that information, please.
ShareTrails.org. It's our URL. It's a description of what we do. And if you just type ShareTrails.org into your browser, it'll bring up our website. We're in the process of revising it now and making it better than it already is. You can learn everything that we do there. We have trail alerts. We use social media extensively every day to send out trail alerts. So when someone in, for instance, New Mexico says, look, the Forest Service, the BLM, whatever agency it is, has instigated an environmental study. They're thinking about closing this trail or making it wilderness with a small W or something like that for study. We issue an alert. And if you're a member, you get those alerts through any social media of your choice. We have folks who are public land specialists. We have one in our office. We have one out in the field, our attorneys. So when members send us information like that, or even non-members, we're on it right away. So if you're interested in supporting what we do, just go to sharetrails.org and sign up. It's really easy to do. There's all kinds of different levels of membership. And we're even running a promotion right now, a cow tag event with one of our corporate partners, Climb, up in Rigby, where if you sign up right now, in the process of signing up, you can get some opportunities for a drawing that we're holding for Cody Webb's motorcycle, which is going to be given away the afternoon of the event, June 27th.
Okay, now let me ask you this question, and we're almost out of time, Martin, but let's talk a little bit about trail closures. Are you feeling like I am, like there's already a predestined, kind of a clandestine meeting with the powers that be to go ahead and try to eliminate a lot of the usage of our public lands through trail closures, and what they say is, well, they're overused, and so we're going to cut this off, and basically what they're doing is creating more congestion on the remaining trails. There doesn't seem to be, in my opinion, a lot of good management from the government.
Zeb, I could not agree with you more. It is it's a backward practice. It's better to disperse users. I understand, having been a climber and a skier and all those things, and having a foot in that community, I understand the concerns of those folks, but they're not based on very good science. And in many cases, I think the concern about the impact on the environment from spreading users out is actually an excuse just to exclude user groups that a lot of environmental groups simply don't like. But the science just isn't there. It's better to disperse the users. The big impact of humans in the woods is humans in the woods, period. So the choice is, you can fence all these places off and turn them into gigantic wilderness preserves, I guess, if that's your genuine interest. But then I don't think the public would pay to support that. They're not public lands. You don't have access to them.
That's
and
right.
Even that, I think, would ultimately prove to be kind of foolish. Humans are part of the planet. So I agree with you. I think there is an agenda there, and I think that we have to push back on that and educate people. Say, look, this is ineffective. It's not really based on good research, and it's not fair to you, the taxpayer.
You know, Martin, I wish you a lot of success. I can tell just by listening to you on this program that you've got a lot of wherewithal and knowledge on these problems. We have a caller with a question, so if you can't hear it, let me know. I'll paraphrase it for you. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air. Quickly, go ahead.
Yeah, I think one of the problems, and he'll probably see it more than anybody, is common courtesy. We don't necessarily need to separate all this stuff from all the different users. If common courtesy was pushed a little bit more, I'll listen.
All right, thank you, caller. Martin, respond to that, please.
I didn't hear the caller's name, but I could not possibly agree more. And some of the people who do what I do are pretty bad about that. I just wrote a small column for Dirt Rider magazine, and I talked about, I live near a trailhead. In fact, my farm exists right next to a major trailhead, one that's pretty well used. It's multiple use. This Sunday, I sat out with my family in the yard barbecuing, and there's a guy in a diesel pickup truck doing donuts in the parking lot 100 feet from where I'm grilling with two dirt bikes strapped to the back. I don't like that guy. If I don't like that guy, I know for darn sure the mountain bikers, the hikers, the horsemen and women, everybody else that's using that trail doesn't like that guy either. And we have to clean up our own act when it comes to stuff like that. If you're a snow machiner, a mountain biker, a dirt biker, it doesn't matter what it is. You got to talk to the folks that enjoy your sport and say, you simply must do a better job of portraying us in a positive light to everybody else that's out there.
Absolutely. You got to promise to come back. You're an excellent spokesperson for the Blue Ribbon Coalition, sharetrails.org. Martin Hackworth, the new executive director. God bless you, man, and I'll look forward to having you back on the program in the future. How's that?
Thanks, Zeb. I enjoyed it. Take care of yourself.
All right. Thank you, sir. Martin Hackworth, Executive Director of the Blue Ribbon Coalition out of Pocatello, and we appreciate all their efforts. And believe me, it's going to take an effort on everybody's part. Whether you're a motorcyclist or an ATVer, equine rider, doesn't make any difference. We all need to band together. And I just had my dear friend Jack Euler come into the studio. Jack, I'm going to put your microphone on real quick. I want you to respond to that because we were talking. Get up close to the microphone real fast. We were talking about Blue Ribbon Coalition and the use of trails and the cutbacks on trails. All of us are going to have to band together and not only police ourselves to do a better job, but we're also going to have to band together to fight the environmentalists and the government for their land closures on public lands, right?
It's totally true. And that's part of the problem is everybody can't get over their own little turf and piece of the world. And Zeb, I've saw this for years and years and years. But there are common grounds if people will give up something. Everybody has to give up a little bit, but
you're not really giving up anything when really in the end result, the net result, you're going to gain having the usage of our public lands without the government infringement. So you're not really giving up you're winning actually.
But people
I know.
People can't give up their little piece of the world.
Their niche.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. We're going to have Jack on the air in just a few minutes, and we're going to be talking about more subjects than just public lands, so stay tuned for that. And I want to remind everybody, too, about Streamline Precision. Oh, my goodness. They're located at 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dodd Foods. All you have to do is call Tim Vaughn for estimates on what you need built on your property. Streamline Precision, a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. Number to call, 431-7314. That number again, 431-7314. They can build it all for you. All the buildings for your farm and dairy, all the grain bins for on-the-farm storage. They're authorized dealers in Sioux Cup, Chief Balin, and Nucor buildings, and they're currently building the brand new Funk Dairy right straight south of me in Murtaugh. They can handle all your dirt hauling needs with the big side dump trucks. They've got it all at Streamline Precision. 120 South, 100 West of Burley. Number to call, 431-7314. And don't forget, coming up in just a matter of days will be the Minnecasia Relay for Life. I had a lady call me the other day while I'm on the air, and I hope she understands I can't take calls on a cell phone while I'm on the air. Called back, and she wanted some more information on the Minnecasia Relay for Life, and it's going to be Friday, June 19th and 20th, starting at 6 p.m. at the Cassia County Fairgrounds with the opening ceremonies, and then, of course, the Survivors Lap and the Luminaria ceremony, many, many more things. And we invite you to be a part of and participate in the raising of funds for trying to defeat deadly cancer. Minnecasia Relay for Life on Friday, June 19th and 20th at 6 p.m. starting time at the Cassia County Fairgrounds. Don't you forget it. And real quick, too, I'll tell you about somebody else I don't want you to forget, and that's our friends at Let's Ride. Nick and the whole crew are serving you at Let's Ride with the very best of ATVs, what we're talking about right here this morning. And watercrafts. My goodness sakes, Jack Euler on a watercraft. Now, that is a sight. Now's the time to get your brand new watercraft, and they've got all the watercraft for you to have fun on the lakes and the rivers and everything else. And by the way, too, if you've got a watercraft and need to get it serviced, get it in there in their service department. They'll take care of it right away. Absolutely. They've got all the accessories. They've got everything for you at Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn. Number to call, 436-4771. Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. You get over and see those good folks today. Jack, I'm going to start you a little bit early, so take that microphone. You and I have had the opportunity for, oh my goodness, about what now, 16, 17 years, about the wolf reintroduction, and then talking about the sage grouse and talking about the cutbacks on public lands. And we're not getting any younger, and we need new people to get involved and kind of pick up the torch and run with it. Isn't that right?
That's true. And I had this conversation Saturday with a guy down at Natsupa talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
Who's going to pick up the pieces and run with it?
When you say pick up the pieces, though, it's not all falling apart. We can still do a lot if people will get involved, right?
And Zeb, yes, we can. We can do a lot. And I told this guy, and he was from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and he's an attorney, and he was wondering, he was picking my brain as to what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. And I told that man, personal relationships mean the most. Mm-hmm. And it takes time to build that, and it takes time to build a task force to take care of the situation.
I keep going back, and it's always kind of sad for me, and I know it's sad for you, but I keep going back to a gentleman that was our dear friend Grant Gerber, and all the time and the effort that he put into his life as an attorney, but yet serving others in public land issues, etc. There's one man that absolutely, so far, has been irreplaceable.
Totally. And I've met with his son. I have talked to him about this and asked him the question, who's going to pick up what Grant did? And he just told me there isn't anybody to pick up what Grant did. There is his briefcase sitting on the chair in his office. You know, it's still there. Nobody's opened the briefcase to pick it up.
What is the problem, though, Jack? And I want my audience to understand that you, and I've got to give you a lot of credit, and I always have, you have done so much to protect the state of Idaho and protect the use of our public lands and being able to go hunt and fish. You've done so much over the last 15 to 20 years. Why isn't somebody else aware and cognizant that, hey, we're not getting any younger, we're getting a little gray and a little longer in the tooth, we need help?
Yes, that's totally true. And why won't they?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Because people need to, and I've preached this for a long time, people need to learn to protect what is theirs. And this is ours. If you like to hunt, if you like to fish, if you like to trap, if you like to do four-wheeling in the South Hills, all of these things, if you like to go up there and cut firewood, we're all on the same boat. If we want to keep that opportunity, we have to take care of our public lands together.
When you talk about people, though, and you get around quite a bit because of your insurance business, etc., but when you talk to people, is it public apathy? They don't care anymore, or are they expecting somebody else to do it for them? I mean, is everybody just waiting to be babysat and have somebody else do the task?
Yes, and you just brought up a subject. You look at the family, babysat. How many families today raise their kids like we were raised when we were young?
That's true.
The way families are today is not the way they used to be. We need to go back to the basics, Zeb, in my opinion. We need to go back to some of the basics to move forward with some of these things.
Well, I know, talking to the Idaho Fish and Game, they have stated many times that there is not enough of a new generation buying the fishing licenses, buying the hunting licenses, and really supporting the outdoor life like it used to be. And I still sit there and I question why. I mean, we've got so much in this country, and yet people don't take the time to realize and appreciate what we have, and then all of a sudden some morning we wake up and it's gone.
That's true. But you brought up the Idaho Fish and Game. So let's talk about them a minute. They used to have a pheasant farm over in Jerome. They raised pheasants, and that was, I don't know how big it was, how many acres, but they raised a lot of pheasants that were turned loose in Idaho.
Right.
Look how many people that brought to Idaho. I mean, you couldn't find a motel. You couldn't find, when pheasant season opened, you couldn't find a motel. You couldn't find a restaurant. You couldn't find anything. I mean, people came to Idaho.
I think it goes without saying, Jack, that people from South Dakota came out here.
That's right.
And now we're going back there.
That's right. Things were closed. I mean, they closed down the pheasant farm, and now the same thing is happening to the fish hatcheries.
Yeah.
The fish hatcheries are being closed down. What is the Fish and Game doing to protect? They want our money, yes, but what are they doing for us, the sportsmen, who are the people that pay for the Idaho Fish and Game?
So where is the problem, though? I mean, we have the Fish and Game on for their monthly report and everything. Is the problem that they're not getting enough people to buy licenses to support what they want to do and what they want to try to construct? What is the problem? What's the main answer to the problem?
Well, my opinion is they don't have the same product out there as they used to. And it's just like a business. If you're running a business, if nobody likes your product, nobody's going to buy it. And that's what the Fish and Game does. They sell a product, and they have to have a license for that product. But if you don't have anything out there, and I've told them this face to face, that you have to have a product, and if you were a private business, you would be broke and out of business.
Is it just here in the state of Idaho, or is it maybe the Missouri Fish and Game? Is it the Wisconsin Fish and Game? Is it the Montana Fish and Game? Do other states and Fish and Games have the same problem?
Yes, and a lot of it is because of the environmental. The environmentalists have a hold on the Idaho Fish and Game. They have a hold on the Montana Fish and Game. The people that work there have a different attitude than they used to have. It's just, it's like a family. It's not the same today as it used to be.
If it were a perfect world, and all of a sudden you could wave a magic wand, you are now the new commissioner, and you have all the power, what would you do to change things? Kind of like my program is what you're saying, my slogan at the end of the show, the way things were, the way things ought to be. That's basically what you're saying about the Fish and Game, is it not?
Well, you asked me if I was a commissioner.
Yeah, what would you do?
I would have personal relationships with the people that I needed to deal with on the legislative level in the state of Idaho. And the Fish and Game the Fish and Game Commission does, as a commissioner, do not do that. And they do not have those personal relationships, and they need it. They need to have that to be successful.
Kind of a one-on-one type thing.
Yes, or somebody you can call on the telephone and discuss what you want and what you would like to see happen with legislation. They don't have that, and this year was a blow-up. The Fish and Game Commission wrote an op-ed thing taking the legislature to task for what they were doing and how they were doing it. That's not the way to do it. They need to be able to talk to these people one-on-one, and that's not happening.
On the other side of the coin, though, we have a environment right now in this country to where the environmentalists are all lumped together, whether it's water usage, whether it's use of our public lands, whether it's the non-hunting groups, the non-fishing groups. There's a lot of money that's trying to stop any use of our outside resources.
The whole thing is about money, as far as the environmental groups are concerned. And you get into, and I can't remember the group, that their office staff are paid an average of $260,000 a year. Now, that's pretty good pay for groups.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, that's the fact of where we are. But not only that, we call them the environmental groups or the environmentalists. Zeb, who were the original environmentalists?
Farmers, ranchers, and land users.
That's right.
That's right.
That's completely true. And in the 60s and 70s, that word got hijacked and given to somebody else, and the farmers and ranchers and the hunters and those people who built the herds, who built the land to what it was today, and everything else are the bad guys today in their eyes.
Yeah.
And that's why where we're at with the wolf issue under the endangered species and with the sage grouse.
Let me get into those in just a moment to see if there's been any changes. Let me do this commercial quick. I'll be right back with you. Don't forget Cameron and Siemens Insurance. And, of course, Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens, taking care of you and what you need regarding life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They are locally owned, and they are ready to serve you every day. Accessible and devoted to serving others. Please give them a call and make an appointment with Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The number to call, 436-4424, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, the professionals. Also, don't forget our friends with Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, and of course, offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems, whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump. You and your family will enjoy the comfort. Don't forget to give them a call, 678-0459. At Ramsey Heating and Electric, they sell and provide warm winters and cool summers with Lennox. Jack, what about our land use? You know, I had a nice conversation with Martin Hackworth, the executive director of the Blue Ribbon Coalition, and I absolutely applaud what the Blue Ribbon Coalition has been trying to do on limited funds. But, you know, little by little, day by day, there are many, many groups that go to Washington, D.C. on behalf of the different enviros, and they say, we want this stopped. We don't want people to go up there and see this land anymore. We don't want people to fish this area. We don't want people to go hunting. We don't want people to go horseback riding. And it seems like they're the money, and the money talks, and our legislators, unfortunately, they bend towards the environmental movement.
That's very true. And why do they? It is in payment of the money that they get. And where's a lot of this money coming from? It's coming from all taxpayers. The environmentalists have a lifeline into Washington, D.C., and they get grants, they get money, they get this, they get that, but they also buy the vote with that money. They're stabbing us in the back with the money that we pay to the government.
Let's talk a little bit before I do my weather forecast for this hour, Jack. What's going on now, right this minute, with any more wolf problems? Have they tried to change the rules again? I mean, bring us up to speed as to what's happening in the wolf situation.
Well, the environmental groups under the Endangered Species Act will not let go of that issue. Now, the wolves were delisted in most of the places in the United States where wolves inhabit today.
Right.
The upper Midwest, Wyoming, and everywhere else.
Right.
All that's been taken back as a result of lawsuits. The upper Midwest lost the right to hunt and manage the wolves that way.
Now, Wisconsin and Minnesota, right?
And yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I heard the other day, I was talking to some people from Wisconsin and also a fish and game director that was on here on this program. And the upper Midwest right now, according to some of the people I've called and talked to personally, is under siege with wolves.
They are. That's a fact. And Wyoming, same way. Their rights were taken back through courts because of money and the courts that the environmentalists went after. The only places that the wolves can be hunted today in the United States is Idaho and Montana.
Wow.
And I am waiting for the other hand to drop on those two states, but there's one line in that budget bill that got through years ago when they got taken off the Endangered Species Act, and it says, and this cannot be challenged in court. And I don't know if that will stand up, but I think that one line today is why we can still manage wolves in the state of Idaho.
We're going to do a weather forecast real quick and then come back with more with Jack Euler, and your calls and thoughts are appreciated. Right now, our weather is brought to you by our dear friends at Mad River Laser. Oh, my goodness. They're located at 502 East Street on the Square in Rupert, and they can do everything. Hey, Father's Day's coming up. Get something nice and personalized for Dad. June weddings and all the parades and the business promotional items, they can do it all for you at Mad River Laser. And if you need those danger, keep hands clear signs or anything warning folks about the dangers of maybe a certain location or whatever, they can do all that. They do everything at Mad River Laser. All you have to do is give them a call. Nicole and Alex Pratt, and they're located at 502 East Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-2293. Here now is Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is up at the ranch. You've got wet weather all the way to Thursday night. You're going to come out of it on Friday. You're going to come out of it with sunny weather for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can pick right back up Sunday night and pick up more wet weather going into next week. Today will be the wettest day of the week. Got an area of low pressure right now situated right over northern Idaho, moving south, and then going to be turning east. You're going to see some showers and some thunderstorms. Some areas could see localized hail and also thunder and lightning and gusting winds. Temperatures for today, 69 for the high, 47 for the overnight low. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Don't forget they've got all the barbecue kits ready over there for engraving for Dad, world's greatest cook, whatever. Aprons, too, coffee mugs, and buck knives. All of this and more at Mad River Laser on the Square in Rupert. You stop over and see those good folks today. We're on the air with Jack Euler, a very, very dear friend of mine, and we're talking about public lands, the wolf issue, the sage grouse issue. Jack, regarding public lands, there have been many, many instances, and there seems to be many more, as to where I was just talking with Martin Hackworth, with the executive director of the Blue Ribbon Coalition, and he agreed with me that they're closing more land down, saying it's too congested, and what remaining land is left, then they're saying, well, they got to close that down too because there's too many people. It's kind of like you're darned if you do and darned if you don't, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But take another place in Idaho, the Boulder White Clouds.
Oh, that's a sad subject.
I mean, if that gets penned in, which I think Obama will do before he leaves office, the Boulder White Clouds, we've lost something else.
When you look at the wolf issue and all your time and effort with the fighting the restoration of the wolves, they had wolves here already. Let's make that point poignantly clear. These were brought in and foreign wolves to this area. The Canadian Graves were captured up in captivity in Canada and brought here to the state of Idaho. When you look at the wolf issue in your 20 years at least working against that issue, are you happy with the net result that you have personally done over those years?
Yes, what I have personally done, but I despise what has been given to me as information from the environmental side on what the wolf is, what it represents, what it will do, what it will breed with, how it will breed, and all of these things. It is just totally out of hand today. Mm-hmm. And there's a place in northern Idaho that's breeding wolves and turning them loose. There isn't a wolf today.
How did they get away with that?
That Fish and Game shut it down last week, supposedly, but they keep getting reopened up. And the story that I read last week told about how many wolves they have and how many they're breeding. But when they were brought here, they said, these are pure wolves, and they won't breed with they won't breed with coyotes. They won't breed with domestic dogs. They won't. All this is baloney. They're doing it, and there's no pure wolf out there anymore. The timber wolf that we had is the only pure wolf that there was, and the timber wolf is gone. It was against the law under the ESA to bring an endangered species into this state on top of another endangered species, and now that one is gone. And we have another example of the caribou in northern Idaho. There used to be 40 to 50 woodland caribou in northern Idaho, and today there are 0. There are no woodland caribou left, and that's the only woodland caribou in the United States. Well, what did they do? They put 200 and some thousand acres off limits because it is vital habitat for the woodland caribou.
Let me get into another couple of subjects. We got about 8 minutes left on the program for this hour. It seems like everything that Grant Gerber down in Elko and his staff of followers tried to do is trying to be put asunder again. And give us a real short statement about how you feel about this battle over the Jarbidge Road. It seems like the feds want to take it back and cause another great big riff over this. I thought it had been settled.
I did too, but Grant said nothing. This is me talking to him before he passed. He said nothing is ever settled, that they will keep coming at us. And these organizations like the Forest Service and the BLM are so entrenched with these so-called environmentalists that they are going to take that back and shut it down as a result of supposedly that fish that they think they're protecting, that gets through the mud every spring when the runoff comes. But, the things that have happened in the Jarbidge Canyon is just unbelievable. Like did you ever hear the story of the Forest Service toilet down there? The Forest Service had a restroom there, men and women.
That's right.
And after they got this road open, they called Grant and told him that it was full, it needed to be taken care of, and it was going to cost $25,000 to do it. He says, we'll go in there with buckets, we'll get it taken care of, and you can call it the Bucket Brigade if you want, but he says, we will empty it. Well, the Forest Service flew in with a helicopter and pumped it, and then they locked the restroom.
That makes no sense whatsoever.
But that wasn't the end. They came back with another helicopter and took the restroom away. It isn't there anymore. That was a restroom for the public to use on public lands.
It's bureaucracy playing like they're thugs.
I know.
It is.
It is. And they're going to keep coming after us. And that's why the question you started with today, who's going to pick up the pieces? Who's going to carry the water? Who's going to carry the load from here on? I don't know.
Okay,
I can't answer your question.
Let me get into one other topic, and hopefully we might have a little good news on that. And what about the sage grouse? Is there going to be, in your opinion, an extension so that communities, ranching, farming, everybody can try to make an increase of habitat that will be sufficient for the feds to leave us alone?
not sufficient for the feds to leave us alone, because they'll never leave us alone until we get politicians that will take back our government. But you're going to have to do that to get the feds to leave us alone. But I got a letter last week from Mike Crapo, Senator Crapo, and he laid out the different things that are going on back there. But I might say that before I get into his letter, that we as sportsmen have spent millions and millions of dollars in Washington, D.C. to try and keep from having this bird listed. And August of this year, it's supposed to happen. Well, on May 12th, H.R. 1735, which was put together by Representative Rob Bishop from Utah, put a 10-year moratorium on this, and he got it passed through the House of Representatives Armed Services Committee, because he did it under the guise of the National Defense Authorization Act.
So he slid it under the cover of actually something to do with our military.
Yes. So that, well, you take Mountain Home Air Force Base. Look at all the sagebrush and the area out there that they fly over all the time, real low. Mm-hmm. And that's why he said this, if you list the sage grouse under the ESA, you're going to have a detrimental effect on our military and their ability to go out and practice and fly. And it worked, and that was passed last week, or on the 12th. It's a way that we've learned from the environmental groups.
When you look at the sage grouse issue, the wolf issue, the salmon issue, the water issues, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Is there anything as kind of a forebearer of warning that something else is coming down the pike that we're not aware of? Do you have any foreboding of a danger of another new item that they're going to throw at us?
Well, we got two in the state of Idaho, the lynx and the that other thing that lives out in the forest. I can't remember.
The other thing that lives out there in the forest. I couldn't remember it either. But anyway, there are two other issues they're going to try to throw at us. I see. And
the lynx is probably going to be the big one.
Oh, my.
But, there's other things that's coming down the road. But Senator Crapo, back to sage grouse, he talks about other bills that are going on back there, and one of them in the Senate, and he has signed on to it, and it's H.R. 83. And
we got a quick call.
Okay.
We got a quick call. I've only got 30 seconds. Fast, caller, go.
Yeah, it was a wolverine that were helping to.
Yes, the wolverine.
Yeah, that wolverine is the other thing that lives out there in the forest. Yeah, that's what it was.
Have a good one.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Jack, I got to run, but I want to tell you that in case nobody else says it to you on a regular basis, we really appreciate all your effort. I want you to know that when you walk out of this office, that I hold you in the highest regard for what you've done for the state.
Well, thank you. And I tell you what, when sportsmen talk about their rights, I just ask the question, do you know who gave you the right under the Constitution of the of the state of Idaho to continue that? We have the right to hunt, fish, and trap.
Right.
I didn't.
You betcha. Jack Euler, my dear friend. Thank you. God bless you. Hey, don't
Thanks,
forget.
Zeb.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Don't forget the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. And today they're going to have chicken tacos with pineapple salsa served with Spanish rice and soup and salad. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be fantastic at the Chadwick Sports Grill. You stop in at 139 West Main in Burley. Great food, great menu items, and really nice people at the Chadwick Sports Grill in Burley. We'll be back right after the news. Don't you go away. Dr. History is coming up. Oh, my. Here we go, hour number 3. And Zeb at the Ranch, and we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Service is the name of the game. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Get rid of your garbage, 734-6969. And our friends at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Hey, by the way, too, don't forget the Relay for Life, helping to garner funds to fight that dreaded disease, cancer, in all of its various forms. Well, of course, the Minnecasia Relay for Life is coming up on June 19th and 20th, starting at 6 p.m. on the 19th, right there at the Cassia County Fairgrounds. For more information on how you can help with the Minnecasia Relay for Life, give a call to 260-0436. 260-0436. Don't forget, June 19 and 20, the Minnecasia Relay for Life. Oh, my goodness sakes. I think what we will do is go right to the party that's sitting in front of me. My goodness sakes, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for the one, the only Dr. History, brought to you by our friends at Minnecasia Sales. Hello, Zack Attack. How you doing over at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main in Burley? They've got everything over there. All your shingles for your roofing remodeling. They've got all your lumber packages. They got all the anything you need to fix up or remodel, they've got it all for you. Upgrade your windows, and of course they've got all the quality carpet. My goodness, they've got it all. And of course, don't forget too, all the Tartar Farm and Ranch equipment. Oh my, at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. Minnecasia Sales. And now, without further ado, here's Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb. How you doing today?
I'm good. Hey, before we get started this morning, I wanted to ask you, have you had a chance to see on the Fox News channel the Legends and Lies that's been produced by the author of the book, Legends and Lies, Bill O'Reilly?
I just found out about that yesterday, and I haven't been able to actually watch one of those yet.
Actually, they've duplicated and kind of copied a lot of what you have told us, like with Black Bart, you know, the renowned stagecoach robber and everything. I saw that story last night, and everything you had told us, spot on. So you have done a good job.
Well, good. I'm going to have to tune into that.
It's a good show.
Okay.
It's a good show. What are we going to talk about this morning?
Well, we're going to talk about Tales from the Tombstone.
Tales from Tombstone, Arizona?
No, the Tombstone.
Oh, the Tombstone. The
cemeteries.
Look out. Okay, Halloween.
In fact,
here we go.
Let me read this one to you.
Okay.
Here lies Lester Moore. 4 slugs from a 44. No less, no more.
You know, that is really a tombstone. I've seen that.
It is.
I've seen that. I've been right there and read that in person. And I got to be honest with you, I started chuckling in the cemetery. I couldn't help it.
Well, and Benjamin Franklin said, show me your cemeteries, and I will tell you what kind of people you have.
Oh, really?
So that's kind of an interesting thought. But anyway, for what I'm going to talk about is the Bodie's Oddfellow Cemetery in Bodie, California.
Say that again fast.
Bodie.
Bodie?
Bodie. Have you heard of Bodie?
I have not.
Oh, okay.
Cheyenne Bodie. It used to be a TV series.
Nope. This is California somewhere.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, well, you know, for thousands of pioneers, the journey west was deadly. In 1875, there was a gold miner by the name of Walham. He wrote on his journal, he said, if the graves of the early settlers who died on the pilgrimage across the Great Plains into the wild frontier had been marked, one could have traveled the entire distance stepping on a gravestone with each stride.
Oh, my.
But, if you think about, rattlesnakes and accidents from guns and Indians and cholera and all the things that these people had to put up with.
They really didn't have access to like going someplace to like an emergency room or a quick care or anything like that. It was basically, you got bit by a snake? Well, sayonara.
Yeah. Well, and if they happen to be close to a fort, maybe there might have been some help.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, the cemetery in the ghost town of Bodie, California, is filled with graves of immigrants who came in search of a better way of life in this so-called utopian West. But anyway, disease claimed the lives of several there, and many others died from mining accidents or gunfights or fires. Historical records disclose little facts about their deaths, but prospectors, homesteaders, their families, all were buried in the Bodie Cemetery. So Bodie was actually one of the most notorious gold boom towns in the Old West. It was founded in 1859 by a guy by the name of William S. Bodie, who discovered gold at the location, and, the find attracted thousands, like they always do, to the area, and it's by 1865, the town's population numbered more than 10,000, which was typical for, if there's a boom, thousands would head in, to mine or to mine the miners.
About the size of Burley, really.
Yeah. They had 3 general stores, 6 restaurants, a tin shop, a shoemaker business, and, heaven forbid, 65 saloons.
Well, they got the ratio right, didn't they?
I don't think Burley quite fits that now. But anyway, 65 saloons to take care of the miners. But the gold quartz mine yielded about $75 million before being completely played out. So clear back then, $75 million. That's a lot.
A lot of money.
So, in addition to the law-abiding citizens who lived and worked in Bodie, were numerous bad men. Gunfights were commonplace, and crime was pretty much rampant. The local newspaper, the Bodie Daily, Free Press, said that. It actually had a section entitled Last Night's Killings.
Oh, my goodness.
So you could read who got shot and killed.
Really?
The night before.
Oh, my.
So it listed the lives of the lost in various ways of violent death.
How would you like to be the reporter that had to put that together?
Yeah, you'd be up pretty much all night.
Oh, my goodness.
Trying to get the latest guy that was dead. And maybe he wasn't quite dead yet. So just put it in there.
Hoping that he dies so that the story is complete.
Right. But anyway, this lawless atmosphere and frequent gunplay earned the rowdy community the nickname of Shooter's Town.
Shooter's Town.
They called it Shooter's Town because there was so much shooting and fighting and killing.
My.
So,
10,000 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, the citizens who permanently resided at the crowded cemetery came from all walks of life. The upstanding, commonly perceived as respected citizens, were laid to rest in the main portion of the graveyard. Now, the not-so-good people, drug addicts, bandits, murderers, they were placed in the outcast section just beyond the gates of the main cemetery.
I see.
So you had the good and the bad.
The good, bad, and the ugly.
And ugly cemetery. But
all right.
Anyway, some of the people buried in the proper area of the cemetery were escorted to their final resting place by horse-drawn carriages and brass bands. And, when the bones of the town's founder were discovered in a spot near his initial mining claim, a lavish funeral followed. He was led to the graveyard in a massive black hearse pulled by a pair of plumed horses. You've seen pictures of those.
Oh, yeah.
Those really amazing hearses.
There was a Clint Eastwood movie, wasn't there, where they had the hearse with the plumes on the horses? Or maybe I'm thinking of, what movie was it where they had the black hearse with the 6 horses and the plumage and everything? I'm trying to remember.
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember which one that was either.
I think it was a story about Wyatt Earp, in one of the Wyatt Earp movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, anyway, in late 1880, the death of a popular member of the Chinese Masonic Lodge prompted his friends to arrange for a grand send-off. The end result was a little chaotic and tragic that made the San Francisco newspapers. So I'll tell you about that. The Bodie band, decked out in uniforms, complete with military-style dress, hats, and plumes.
Oh, my.
Marched in front of the casket as it was carried to the cemetery. But several days of rain prior to the occasion had left the streets really muddy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, adorned in black and wearing overshoes, the procession slogged through the ankle-deep muck, and the musicians played a fitting tune. The mourners ran alongside the coffin and distributing slips of red paper full of holes. Now, according to Chinese custom back then, evil spirits had to pass through all the holes before they could gain access to the soul of the departed.
I'll be. I never heard of that.
I hadn't either. But anyway, at the conclusion of the graveside ceremonies, the crowd that had gathered started its way back to town, and the band followed playing some more music, and one of the horses pulling a carriage driven by some of the mourners did not want to, they didn't want to walk, so they were in this carriage, but the horse became spooked by the drums and bolted from the procession. The runaway vehicle charged over the rocky landscape, tossed the driver.
This doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't end good. So the funeral attendees raced after this out-of-control carriage, hoping for a chance to get this thing stopped, but the coach sped down the main street of town, nearly tipping over as it rounded a corner and throwing the passengers off in the process. Well, the vehicle was finally brought to a stop by a giant log that was in the road. The front wheel hit the timber and the entire rig tipped over. Now, the ironic thing is that in the aftermath of this event, 3 people were left dead and several others were seriously injured.
They really knew how to create more business for that hearse, didn't they?
They did.
What happened to the poor body that was inside?
Well, this is on the way back.
Oh, it's on the way back.
Yeah, so they'd already buried the guy.
Oh my!
So this was the mourners were now going to mourn 3 more. So anyway. You know, time has erased the inscriptions from a lot of those tombstones in the cemetery of Bodie, and there's only a few markers that are left with any indication as to who the inhabitants were and how they died and when. And, you know, partial information listed on some granite stones contains poems or Bible verses, but the tombstone over this Bodie guy, his grave, doesn't actually include his name.
Oh, really?
It reads, "Sacred to the memory of James A. Garfield."
Wait a minute. You're talking about the Bodie, the founder of the town.
Right, and this is his gravestone.
What's James Garfield got to do with it?
Well, in the midst of carving in sentiment of Bodie's stone, the sculptor was informed that President Garfield had been assassinated. So he was shocked by the news and confused by the loss, and he just thought this inscription meant more.
I see.
So here's the Bodie's founding father with in sacred memory of James A. Garfield.
And no name of Mr. Bodie whatsoever.
No.
Oh, how fitting.
Yeah.
Where is Bodie, by the way?
You know,
is it in the San Francisco area?
I think it is up in that Sacramento area, somewhere over in that area. I think. So
let me do a quick commercial. Okay. Want to say thank you to our friends at Minnecasia Sales. Zack Attack. You better believe it. Old Zach and the rest of the crew can help you with all your spring remodeling, and all the great folks that they have working for them. They can get the job done. Don't forget to upgrade your windows. You better believe it. Save on your heating and cooling bills, and all the information right there at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main in Burley, right across from the airport, and all kinds of good, great quality carpet. You better believe it. Stop in and check out what you need. They've got about everything right there at Minnecasia Sales at 1321 East Main Street in Burley, 878-2091. And now back to the wrong headstone for the mayor of Burley. Not Burley. Oh, my goodness. I'm in trouble. Bodie. I'm in trouble now.
You are.
Mr. Smedley, I'm sorry.
Yes. Well, among the known individuals that reside at Bodie's old Oddfellow Cemetery are miners who lost their lives on the job. There was a guy by the name of Alex Larson. He rests next to his co-worker, Norman McSwain. It seems Larson survived an explosion at the mine that claimed the life of McSwain, but a few weeks later, he fell backwards into a tunnel down 200 feet, and he died. So within a couple of weeks, two guys were mining accident deaths.
And there wasn't OSHA back then either.
Nope, nobody to check on that.
Yeah.
Well, and then, of course, there's tombstones containing the names of various children who died, or they're scattered throughout the burial grounds. And, of course, we know, medicine back then, if a child got sick.
Pretty sketchy.
It was bad.
Pretty sketchy.
Now, murder victims, such as a guy by the name of Thomas Treelor, reside at the cemetery as well. But his tombstone is kind of weathered and hard to read. But he was killed by his wife's boyfriend. When confronted with the affair. So the man shot Treelor in the head at point-blank range and fled the area. But he was apprehended 7 days later, 8 miles outside of town, and he was hung. So I don't know if he got to be buried next to the guy he shot or not. I'm guessing not.
There wasn't anything as far as numerous appeals, was there?
No. The appeals went unheard.
Yeah.
Anyway, now another guy by the name of Antone Valencia was shot down on Main Street by a guy by the name of Jesus Rivas. After stabbing Jesus in the chest over a financial matter, Valencia died a few hours after having received the fatal wound. So both men were buried in the cemetery side by side.
Oh, that really created for an eternal heckin' damnation, didn't it?
I guess so.
Yeah.
But anyway, in mid-December 1881, a gruesome mystery led authorities to search the plot of a lady by the name of Mary Turner. No relation. She was a 19-year-old woman that was interred at the graveyard. The young bride had died on December 9th, and her grieving husband had her laid to rest. Now, unknown to him and the majority of the townsfolk, her body had been exhumed by the local doctor and dissected.
Oh, why?
I guess he was just studying medicine.
Okay.
Kind of gruesome. So after the physician had completed the procedure of dissection or whatever he did, he dropped the remains in a mine shaft, and a night watchman discovered the body, alerted the sheriff, and the offense was traced back to this doctor, and his office was searched, and they found the woman's skull.
Back in the old days, I think you'll agree with me, there didn't seem to be very much respect for the dead, was there?
Not so much.
As there is today.
Yeah. So this good doctor of the town fled and got out of town before he could be arrested, and so Mary's remains were reinterred back into her original grave.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
But anyway, tombstones containing the names of prominent citizens. There was a guy by the name of Lottie Joel, rests in the main section of the cemetery. Actually, that's a woman, sorry.
Okay.
Lottie was married to Eli Joel, co-owner of one of Bodie's two butcher shops. The two met at a local dance hall where Lottie was the entertainer. Although her profession was questionable.
What did she do for entertainment?
I'm sure it was dancing and singing.
I'm sure it was.
Although
is your face red?
Oh, yeah. But anyway, Eli fell in love with her, and they got married, and Eli was able to see beyond Lottie's time spent as a entertainer.
Yeah.
But, as typical, the prim and proper women of town could not look past that. And
I see.
She was often the subject of scorn and ridicule. Eli showered his wife with gifts in spite of the criticism that he took, and Lottie was grateful. She was left alone by her neighbors and the wives of her husband's associates, and used time to paint. She was actually became quite a good painter. But anyway, she actually ended up being poisoned by a druggist.
Really?
Somehow.
On purpose?
It says accidentally, but that's questionable.
Oh, really?
So poor Lottie was no more.
Yeah, Lottie no more.
Lottie no more.
Yeah.
So, in between the times the local newspaper reported on the departed moving to the cemetery, it ran stories about the graveyard's feuding caretakers.
Now, wait a minute. How could the caretakers get mad at each other and have a feud?
Well, you had the gravedigger and you had the undertaker. Two guys.
Okay.
And they would be paid by the services they performed.
I see.
Well, it seems for some reason the gravedigger dug more graves than was needed.
Oh.
So there were 25 graves, but there were 30 graves, but only 25 of them had people in them.
I see.
So the undertaker kind of brought that to the attention of the city, and the city, anyway, they worked it out, and they paid him for the full 30
So to back up just for a second, you're saying that there were graves that they didn't have anybody in, but they recovered, and he was making money off of
Right,
that.
exactly.
Oh.
So I guess they weren't paying too much attention to who was going in and who was coming out.
Figuratively speaking.
Figuratively speaking.
Yeah.
Anyway, now, during this time, it also cost more to bury a rich man than a poor man.
Oh.
The reason being that a rich man's coffin was placed in a nice, big, comfortable box for him to rest comfortably.
Oh, sure.
A poor man was kind of stuffed into a smaller box.
I see.
And just enough to get him in and covered. So anyway, so the poor guy got the the cheaper deal.
So in other words, instead of a long service with all the eulogy and everything, they walked up, threw him in the ground, and said amen.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good. So anyway, death was a recurring part of the time spent in the West, and especially in Bodie, and it was such a dominant presence in Shooterstown that, with few exceptions, it really didn't take much notice when somebody died.
You know, what was the life expectancy in years during that period of time?
I'm thinking, as I recall, somewhere reading around maybe into the 40s.
That's it?
40s, maybe 50s.
Oh, my. We got a caller with a question. Real quick. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Go ahead, caller, please.
Very fitting for the day after Memorial Day, you two. Have fun. Good luck. Bye.
I hadn't even thought about that, but leave it to old Bob. Yeah.
Oh, well.
All right, go ahead.
Anyway, I know we're about out of time, but when Garfield was killed, President Garfield, they had a huge celebration in Bodie. Parades and businesses draped their storefronts, and funeral services were held, and a graveside ceremony with an empty coffin.
Empty, yeah.
Carried by 12 pallbearers. But anyway, in spite of the sobering truth that death was sure for all, some of Bodie's inhabitants possessed a sense of humor on the subject. In fact, in the newspaper, it said, "Keep the gate closed." Says someone left the gate of the cemetery open last night and let in a terrible draft of cold air. It was so cold that Bill Bodie got up and shut the gate with such a slam that both hinges were broken off. The residents of that section state that his language on the occasion was frightful.
Hey, by the way, real quick, answer this. Wasn't Garfield, and I have nothing to back this up, but wasn't he one of the heaviest or weighed the most of any president? Is that why he had 12 pallbearers?
Well, the casket was empty.
I know.
So, yeah, it could have been.
But wasn't Garfield one of the more portly presidents that we had?
It seems like he could have been.
Yeah.
But anyway, the silent city that is the Bodie Oddfellow Cemetery sits on a hill overlooking the sprawling town that was named after Bodie, and it became a state park in 1964, and it's kind of in bad shape right now. I've never been to it, but they say that but it's kind of interesting. I've enjoyed going to pioneer cemeteries and walking around and just looking at.
So the town itself is gone.
Well, it says that there might be a little bit of a town still there.
I see.
So
okay.
But when you look at some of these old wooden headboards, and you see like Calamity Jane's and Wild Bill and some of those, it's kind of interesting to wonder about their lives.
Absolutely. What are we going to talk about next week?
That's another good question.
Remember I said before we had the break for the holiday and everything, we ought to do one on food.
And I actually tried to find something on that, and I really didn't find anything that
I am surprised more people didn't die by what they had created and eaten by themselves.
Yeah. I mean, and the water.
Yeah, the water was terrible.
Yeah, so...
Anyway, Dr. History, that was I'm going to look that up when I get off the air this morning. Bodie, California, because for some reason I feel like I've been through there or something.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's I don't know. I should have looked that up, but I think it's in Northern Cal.
I do too. I think it's around Sacramento area. Yeah, I think you're right. Anyway, Dr. History brought to everybody by Minicash Sales, 1321 East Main in Burley, right across from the airport. Call them at 878-2091. Thank you, Dr. History.
I'll show you a picture real quick.
Okay.
That is the Methodist Church where a lot of the funerals took place.
Oh, my.
It says it's now closed to visitors, and vandals have taken some of the things out of it.
Isn't that a shame?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
But evidently that is still standing, that church.
Nice looking church, really.
Yeah,
okay.
it is.
Dr. History, wrapping things up, and we're going to send it over to our main studios in just a moment. Don't forget, on Thursdays, we have a program segment called Cassia County School Days, and we want to say thank you to the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland, all of the life-saving colonoscopies, and, of course, knee surgeries, hand surgeries, right there at Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland in Burley, 677-8888, along with the Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And don't forget, everything for babies and toddlers sale. Yes, sirree, they've got it all for you. Free gift wrapping, and for the ladies, a lot of great summer dresses at a Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And right now, we're going to send it over to our main studios. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back. Hold on a second. There's a little frog in the old throat this morning. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. Don't forget to give Tim Vaughn a call at 431-7314 for all the estimates on whatever you need built on your property. Streamline Precision, a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. They can build anything and make a coordinated effort to get it done to the timelines you need. Give them a call, 431-7314. Don't forget, put up a lot of on-the-farm grain bin storage, and they're also authorized dealers with Sioux Cup, Chief Balin, and Nucor buildings. Please give them a call, 431-7314. Streamline Precision, Tim Vaughn, and the professionals building for you. Also, don't forget our friends with Ramsey Heating and Electric, offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric, with warm winters and cool summers with Lennox. Let's go to the phone line right now and say good morning to a lovely lady. Good morning, Julia Seymour. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing well, thank you.
The assistant managing editor of MRC Culture. What does that mean? Give us a little information on the title.
I'm assistant managing editor for MRC Business, actually, and that means that I help our writers. I help train them and get them doing projects, but that I also help Dan Gaynor with whatever he needs.
Now, wait a minute. You're helping Dan Gaynor. I've said many times, and Dan's a good enough friend, Dan's beyond help. He's a good guy.
I'll tell him you said that.
He's a good guy. One of my favorite guests on this program. You had recently written a piece, and I've got to be honest with you, Julia, by the time I got this morning, I was on the air and I hadn't had a chance to really go through and highlight everything, but it's an excellent story about the 188 drought stories and not a drop of concern for environmentalist role. What did you mean by that?
Okay. So I looked at roughly a year and a half of coverage on ABC, CBS, and NBC evening news shows of the California drought, which obviously the drought is really bad. It's bad in California right now, and actually I'm sure much of the West Coast. So it's a serious issue and well worth doing reporting on. But in the stories, what I found was that they didn't ask any questions or provide any criticism of environmental regulations that have made the crisis worse by diverting water to particular species and away from people. They also didn't look into, whether California had failed or the government had failed in any way to not sufficiently, look into water infrastructure possibilities. So a lot was missing from this coverage.
You know, Julia, I have had the chance and the opportunity many, many years to go down into that area of the San Joaquin Valley in California. And I also announce a lot of rodeos all over the United States and Canada. And I have a lot of friends down there, a lot of big farmers, farm families, and my heart and sympathy goes out to them for the complete mismanagement of what's taken place in California with their water situation. Here, this is the breadbasket to the world, and they're more concerned about environmental policies about a little 1-inch fish called the smelt. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And it's not just the smelt. There are other species as well that require, under federal law, they're getting water diversions, and that's going away from farmers and away from urban dwellers and everybody else. The way that the environmental regulations, in this case the Endangered Species Act, have been applied require, according to the Wall Street Journal, 4.4 million acre-feet of water be diverted as a consequence. So a massive, massive amount of water, and much of that, such as the kind of water, or the water that goes to try to help the smelt or salmon, just ends up going out to sea.
Right. You know, I was little bits and pieces that I did have a chance to read in this piece, especially with the New York Times, a very leftist newspaper. You had one quote in there, or one statement that said, even the alarmist New York Times admitted there is no definitive evidence that California's water problems are man-made, basically.
They were specifically looking at climate change, and this was actually a story from the Times from last year.
Right.
They were critical of Barack Obama when the president came out and tried to link man-made climate change to the California drought. The New York Times admitted that the science was lacking, and there was no definitive proof of this. And, of course, we're hearing that drumbeat coming now from the California governor. He's made this claim multiple times, saying that climate change isn't a hoax. They're seeing it in California. And, of course, he's referring to the California drought going on 4 years now. Mm-hmm. The problem is that that's not what scientists say. And the New York Times, to its credit, quoted Richard Seeger of Columbia University. So certainly no bastion of conservatism there. And he's a climate scientist. And he said back in 2014 that he was pretty sure the severity of the California drought was due to natural variability.
When you did this study for this report, Julia, and I got to compliment you, I'm reading along as we're doing this interview, you did an excellent job, but the information that you have in this report, it's too bad that every single American can't pick up a newspaper or turn on a television set and hear the facts about what's really going on instead of what the environmentalists and Governor Jerry Brown and President Obama try to tell the American people that is fact. This is fiction. We would have, I think, ample water supplies to grow our crops and feed the nation, feed the world, if it wasn't for all these absolutely brain-dead regulatory means that are imposed on us by the government. Would you agree with that?
Well, not being a water expert or a scientist, I can't go that far. But certainly, in an issue, a story this big, the networks and all journalists have a responsibility to be looking at all angles of the story. Regulation has to be one of those angles. And environmental regulation in particular, they wouldn't have had to look very far. As I said, the Wall Street Journal had reported this, specifically referring to the Delta smelt, in 2009, talking about how farmers were being hurt by this. So this story, it's a long-running story. It's something that they wouldn't have had to do very much original research to look into, and they could have done a much better service to the public, and should have. But I'm willing to say that this is one part of the problem and not the whole problem. But if they want to just say that this is climate change, and at least the networks didn't do that all of the time, they only did that some of the time.
You know,
But that's a cop-out. That's not addressing California's issues for real.
That's absolutely right. And I really like the way in the last page of your article, you said scientists say California land shows evidence of mega droughts thousands of years ago, and naturally mankind wasn't here to cause them. So who are they going to put the blame on? Tell us a little bit about your research on that.
Absolutely. So CBS found a scientist last March that Lynn Ingram was the scientist's name, and she told them that if you look back several thousand years in history at the geological record, you can see evidence that there were droughts that lasted more than a decade and sometimes even longer than a century in California. And you could see this evidence even in places like the San Francisco Bay. And she called them mega droughts. So, to its credit, CBS did this story. My question is, why didn't CBS then point out the obvious, that was not when people were driving SUVs, or we weren't spewing tons and tons of carbon dioxide into the air? Because clearly there are people who want to connect the two, and this refutes them so perfectly. But CBS did not go that far. They just allowed this scientist to say that the most recent, or the 20th century, was one of the wettest centuries in California in the last 1,300 years. So it was a good report. I'm glad that they did it. They could have gone further and chose not to.
What about your story, though? I mean, whose ears and whose eyes is this report falling on? I mean, are there chances that this story, the way you've written it, it's very well done, could go to a larger form so that the audience could be enhanced and really understand the hypocrisy of what's going on in California?
Well, I certainly hope that a lot of people's eyes find their way to my story. It's available on our website. It's actually on multiple websites of ours, and I have been doing a number of radio interviews about this, so hopefully people will be hearing it and checking it out for themselves, because it is important. And it's, we're seeing a lot of things being written about the drought, and certainly some print outlets are doing a better job. They're looking at water issues, and places like the Wall Street Journal have been talking about the environmental angle of this. But certainly there's a lot more that can be done, because this drought doesn't appear to be going away yet.
When you were doing the research for this piece, what about you, Julia Seymour? Did it open eyes to you and your knowledge and education as to really what is going on and why, with the problem of climate change and the government trying to force climate change on us? Did this open up any new education for you?
Every story, certainly, unless it's something that I've written about many times before, I'm learning as well, and I get to find out new things. And so certainly reading up on these endangered species and how that was water was being diverted, that was new to me. I was not previously aware of these issues. But as far as how the media covered it, unfortunately, that was not a surprise. Their unwillingness to look into the unintended consequences of regulation, their unwillingness to look for government failures, or to criticize the Greens in any way is all too common among the liberal news media, and so that was not a surprise to me.
Let me ask you this question. Do you, Julia Seymour, after this research on the drought in California and the pushing of Obama with climate change and I will say, an idiotic remark that he made last week when he was speaking to the Coast Guard cadets and saying that the number one thing you have to be afraid of today is climate change, when we're looking at terrorism all around the globe, why aren't more people questioning the sanity of what's going on here?
Well, I think with that remark, some people were questioning his sanity. Certainly, I mean, when you look around the world, there are so many threats, and it's just laughable. It really is. But we know, and I don't have the most recent polling data on this, but that people are not as concerned about climate change or global warming on the whole, as they have been at other times.
Right.
I think that they're getting weary of the incessant climate change is going to kill us narrative that you get from the media, that you get from this administration and plenty of other people, activists and politicians. And, hearing that the sky is going to fall or that the sky is falling and then not seeing the sky fall, it breaks that down over time and you tune it out. And I do think that we've seen some of that. But the Obama administration is not letting up. He's determined to make this part of his legacy. I think we're going to continue to see him talking about climate change throughout this year.
Julia, I compliment you on this piece, and I think it's a must-read. Is it on a website where people could tap into it and read it? I think it's excellent.
You bet. You can find it at mrc.org or at newsbusters.org.
All right. Julia Seymour, Assistant Managing Editor for MRC Business. We got a quick question. Quick question. Don't go away, Julia. Stand by. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air. Fast. Go.
Yeah, one of the things, like you just said, these environmentalists are so dead set on scaring the hell out of people that they literally, it's like going to be some withering, dying earth, and there's not a thing anybody can do about it except for have carbon credits and other controlling things. There is no plan to actually, if there is such a thing as global warming, there is no plan to actually cool the earth. All they want to do is control. And people are sick of hearing about how the world is going to end, and children feel hopeless, I think, at times, and I'll hang up. Thanks.
I think that's a really good point, the creation of hopelessness. How would you respond to that, Julia?
Well, I think the constant drumbeat definitely, if people buy into it, it does feel hopeless. So I agree, and I think that that's part of their big public relations problem with trying to convince people that this is a threat.
Absolutely. Again, Julia Seymour, thank you so much for being on the program this morning, and I'll be in touch for the future. Again, kind thanks, and come back soon. Thank you. Very nice lady right there with the Media Research Center, Julia Seymour, and a very well-written piece regarding the hypocrisy and phoniness of what the environmentalists are trying to have us believe about the drought in California. And I think you'll find it a must-read, so go to that website, and I think you'll enjoy it. Oh, my goodness, we got to get the weather on, and the weather is brought to you this hour by our friends at Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome, telephone number 324-7657, and they've got that tax return meat package. You've heard me telling about it. Only $300, and you get beef, and you get rump roasts, and New York steaks, and pork chops, bacon, oh my goodness, and chicken and cheese. It's delicious. Absolutely delicious from Scarro's Meats. And they do sell taste one bite at a time. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is up at the ranch. You've got wet weather all the way to Thursday night. You're going to come out of it on Friday. You're going to come out of it with sunny weather from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can pick right back up Sunday night and pick up more wet weather going into next week. Today will be the wettest day of the week. Got an area of low pressure right now situated right over northern Idaho, moving south, and then going to be turning east. You're going to see some showers and some thunderstorms. Some areas could see localized hail and also thunder and lightning and gusting winds. Temperatures for today, 69 for the high, 47 for the overnight low. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. And once again, brought to you by Scarro's Meats. Oh, my goodness. They're located at 331 North Road, Jerome. And the telephone number, 324-7657. They do sell taste one bite at a time at Scarro's Meats. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. On Thursdays, don't forget, we also have another segment at 10:30 on Thursdays. Vicky's Country Garden sponsors Gardening for Idiots, named after me. And Vicky's Country Garden, located at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. And she's got everything that you need for your garden or your flower beds or fixing up your property, all the decorative rock. Everything is right there at Vicky's Vicky's Country Gardens in Paul. Give her a call, 438-5663, Vicky's Country Gardens. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Seb.
Yes, sir.
That last segment was a good segment. We've got the same problem here in Idaho. They're doing a big flush down the Snake River right now for the salmon, eliminating all the water that the farmers need to raise the crops around here. They're going to cut them down to 80% here. The farmers are, but that they're doing the flush for the salmon here. So
what good?
Yay.
What good is that going to do? You're not going to notice any difference in the stream flow. The fish aren't going to notice any appreciable difference. We're wasting our water. We're taking it away from the people that are growing crops to feed not only us, but the entirety of the world. And the absolute brain-dead attitude of environmentalists and politicians that don't know Khmer from Sikkim. I am so fed up with taking natural resources away for the benefit of mankind. It just makes me furious.
Yeah, I agree. I don't understand it either. I wish you'd do some investigating around here and write something of what's going on around here instead in California. But I agree. I don't understand it either. And they're talking about doing it again later on, right at the tail end of the summer when the farmers will need the water the most. So
yeah.
I don't understand it at all, Seb.
I don't either, and I get so upset when people will criticize. And, you know, it happened in California just recently in the last 2 weeks. A lot of the people that live in L.A. and Sacramento and up in San Francisco, they were criticizing farmers for using the water. And that, it's like slapping your face with the right hand and trying to smile with the other. I mean, it's ridiculous what's going on, and there's no appreciation for the crops and the food that's grown that give the human sustenance. I mean, I'm absolutely livid at the stupidity, the outright stupidity of environmental movements and government.
Well, what they have to do in California is ship everything out to the people that appreciate it. The bad deal is it's going to go clear to Canada. It's going to bypass the people in Idaho here and go clear to Canada. But they ought to make the shells sparse there in California, and then they'll wonder why there's no food there.
That's right.
Well, they slapped themselves in the foot there, in the face. So
you know,
I just wanted to comment on that, Zeb.
I'm glad you did, and thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. God bless you, sir. Thank you. You know, I had an economist on this program about 3-4 weeks ago, and this woman from New York was saying, well, if we can get it cheaper from Brazil or Argentina, you've heard me say this before, and I talked about her absolutely dumb attitude. You know, why is it that they think that they're going to be saving money by bringing it in from a foreign country? You know, you don't know the quality. You don't know how it was produced. You don't know about anything about the chemicals used. You don't know anything about the environment that it was grown in. You don't know anything about the safety of the food crop. Our farmers and ranchers in this country are the best anywhere in the world, anytime, bar none. And we have these absolutely stupid environmentalists. They have no common sense. And along with them, absolutely stupid politicians that will weak-kneed themselves to the environmental movement and hurt our American agriculture and production of food. It is absolutely ridiculous, and these people need a good slap in the face to wake them up to reality as to what's going to happen if we lose the production of our own food in this country. These people are absolutely stupid. Whew, I feel better. Anyway, right now I also want to tell you about our friends with your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. And they're ready for summertime travel. You can get ready, too, with a free pre-trip safety check. I said it again right. It's hard to say. Free pre-trip safety check. And they go over your vehicle to make sure everything is looking good for you to get out on the highway. You better believe it. And also, don't forget, they've got a lot of of their great tires on sale right now, like the Ultra Z900, their best passenger car tire. Long tread life, smooth, quiet ride, and it's on sale now. Check out all the front end alignments, shocks and struts, the best in brake service, bar none, and always the best in service with our friends, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, always serving you with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. What have we got for tomorrow? Well, due to the fact that Monday was a holiday, I've got to gather things up and get everything all put together. I do know that our dear friend Dave Bigo is going to be on the air at 9:06, and I'm going to talk to him a little bit about the Indianapolis 500 and what that means for the economy back there in Indianapolis. And then we're going to be talking about road funding, infrastructure funding with Jason Hart, and we'll have some other great guests on the program, too, coming up tomorrow on Zeb at the Ranch. Don't you miss it. We'll tune in, and you tune in at 8:06 tomorrow morning for Zeb at the Ranch, right here on K-Bar 1230, and then streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. Until tomorrow morning, the way things were, the way things ought to be. You have a great day. See you tomorrow.